Get him, Archie. Get him, Archie. Go get him. Go get him. Archie, get him. Go get him. Yeah, that's what I have to contend with late summer. Crop duster after crop duster after crop duster. I think they use my property as a homing beacon or something. Of course, right now he's actually spraying that field to the east of me there. And there he comes back up. Just a quick midweek update, and I got my tube for my bow thruster in. So we can start with that at any time also. And I got the shaft out again, or had it out again, and I put another couple layers of epoxy on here as well as inside. And as you can see, I've been cleaning up a little bit out here, getting ready for we're gonna try to level the boat on Monday. The boat, when we lowered it, we didn't get it sitting perfectly level. So we are on Monday afternoon, I got some people coming in, and we're gonna try to get the boat leveled again. Athwart ship's leveling, bow to stern. It is the way it is. It's not much we can do that. It's sitting bow down as to how it'll float, but not much you can do about that. But we might as well get it leveled this way, because like I said, I'm going to have to start building some supports off the cradle that are more or less permanent. I mean, we'll have to take them off and whatnot, but anyway, get the boat leveled before we start putting those supports under there. So I've been doing a little bit of cleaning up in here. Got started anyway. Not so much on this side, but got more done here. And I'm gonna go up in the boat and I'll show you what we got going up there. Okay, so here we are back here by where the thrust bearing is, or the stuffing box is gonna go. And as you can see, I got everything back here coated in epoxy. Not only, you know, this surface here and the inside, but I coated everything down here in epoxy. The theory there is, of course, stuffing boxes can leak a little bit of water out the end of them, and they're supposed to actually. So rather than having water collecting and not being able to get it out of here, I went ahead and oh goodness, something back here makes me cough. Went ahead and coated everything generously in epoxy. You can see I filled all the seams between the planks, and then I actually had a little extra, so I just kind of smeared the thickened epoxy throughout the area here. But now we're ready to get the stuffing box mounted and get this shaft in, hopefully permanently. And up here in the forward cabin, I got this opened up. I cut this piece out last night, and this is going to be the hatch to access the bow thruster. You know, I was debating whether to go forward or back here with it, and I'm just afraid that forward segment there was going to be too small, too shallow, whatnot, because I really want to get in between those build stringers. So I needed just a little more depth, a little more water depth down there. And then, of course, the farther back you are, the farther apart those stringers are too. So it's still going to be close. I might have to trim into the top part of this one here to get that tube to go across, because it'll probably just about lay on that top edge of that 2x4 build stringer. But yeah, this should work much better. And now that I got this opened up, I can get it painted too and get it protected anyway. But yeah, there'll be a lot of work going on here. We'll have to epoxy that tube in and fiberglass it, and so yeah, I might not put the protectant on there. Just go ahead and get it epoxied in, and then coat everything in epoxy and paint. we'll see. But yeah, that's where we are up here. And I brought my drum up here for my chain. That's gonna go up there, but I got all that stuff parked in there now. So yeah, well, get stuff out of the way as best we can anyway. Say hi, John.
Howdy.
Alright, today is Monday, so it's kind of a late midweek update, but today the big job that we got done was we leveled the boat. When we did the lowering of the boat, we actually, you know, blocked it back up again, and we were 1.2 degrees off. It was tilted a little bit. So we had to bring the port side up and this side down, the starboard side down just a little bit. And I used a digital level for that. And we put a hydraulic jack on this side and a hydraulic jack on the other side. Then we had a couple guys on each of these posts. And we just real gradually take a little pressure off the jack over here, add a little pressure there, and then just gradually tip the boat back to level again. And we got it actually to dead zero, which is almost impossible to do, but we got it to dead zero. But then when we took the jacks and everything out after we had the new supports back in, we lost a little bit. It was 0.05 degrees off, which is very, very, very little amount. And yeah, that was good enough. The reason I wanted to get it leveled out, well, a couple reasons. One, when you're building stuff inside, it's nice to have the boat at least level in one direction. Now, we can't get it leveled fore and aft simply because I want it on the cradle. But what we're going to do is we're going to put some 6x6s in here in 3 different places. One at either end and then one in the middle. And we're going to bring these 6x6s out a couple of feet on either side here. So those 6x6s will nestle in underneath the keel beside these here, and they'll come out here. And then we'll run supports up here to the boat. And I'm going to put some straps across here and some supports as well to hold them snug up against the bottom of the boat to keep them pulled in tight. So kind of like what they do with boat stands. You know, they have a chain that runs from one side to the other under the keel. We'll do the same thing here, but I think I'm going to use straps, cargo straps, so I can get some tension on those and keep them held in there a little tighter. And then we can, as we're working on the sides of the boat, then we can take one out, still have 2 on either, a minimum of 2 on each side of the boat, and we can work there. And what I'll do is, rather than have these pieces of wood with the rubber on there and then they're screwed in through these screw holes, what I'll do is I'll just put some pads up here with like some carpeting on them or something, and that'll keep the boat, or should keep the boat hopefully supported more or less evenly, with a little tension on those posts. I think that'll work just fine. But anyway, so there was 5 of us. I had my brother and Little John and Big John and another friend of mine, Joel, come out today, and we did that, and it went quite smoothly. It was no issue whatsoever. But it wound up being, if you measured it, it was like 4 inches, a good 4 inches, 4.5 inches off. If you did a measurement from the middle of the boat to the chine point here. And so we had to raise that side, 2¼ inches or whatever, and that lowered this side 2¼ inches to level us out. And it went pretty well. Didn't take too terribly long to do, and it worked all right. So we got stuff cleaned out from under here, and then Little John was sanding along the keel joint here to get this ready for putting the fiberglass and thickened epoxy and whatnot in there. And as you can see, we got this, and yeah, I think you saw that last week. Haven't done any more work there. I was waiting for my new fiberglass tape to come in, and that came in today. I got some more 1708. There's a small roll of it there, and I got some 8-inch. I think this is 8 ounce is what it is, and then a couple more rolls of 6-inch tape just to start doing these things. And here with the installation of the prop and whatnot, I got the stuffing, and you can see it still turns just fine. I got the stuffing box kind of sort of in, but I suppose I should go up here to show you the situation I've got there. Let me get back there real quick. Okay, so here we are back in, this is the shower in the aft cabin. And this is the stuffing box, and as you can see, I got it drilled out, and here I had to move my holes a little farther in because it keel wasn't tall enough there. Something I didn't anticipate when I was drilling that out, but that's of no avail. No problem there. But anyway, so when I put these bolts in, I knew I was just a little off, that I'd have to either tighten some and loosen some a little bit, or shim a little bit to get it just in perfect alignment, because the situation here is that if I crank all of these bolts down that go into the keel, then my sleeve here that goes in there won't fit in there, and I don't know why. That's got to be just 2 or 3 thousandths of an inch clearance there. It's got to be just absolutely perfect for this to slide in there, and I'm not quite sure why they needed such a fine tolerance there. But anyway, so I don't know what I'm going to do there. And George had talked about that you may need to, like loosen a bolt or whatever to tighten one more and loosen one a little bit to get these housings perfectly aligned. So I don't know if I can put some little shims under there, or because this needs to be sealed up. We need to have this sealed up against the keel, and so there's going to be some sealant going in there. So I don't know how perfect that needs to be. I mean, it's not going to go anywhere if you got 2 or 3 of the bolts tight, and then just leave one a little bit loose. It's still not going to go anywhere. I don't know for sure. I don't know what the real situation is there, but I suppose I could theoretically put this in the lathe and turn this down just a little bit, so it's not quite such a tight tolerance there. Like I said, I don't know why it's such a fine tolerance, because yeah, these wooden boats, things move and shift, and yeah, so I don't know. But I spent quite a bit of time on this already, and I'm going to have to spend more time on it yet, I guess, but I don't know, we'll see. But like I said, everything is pretty good. It's just a little bit of misalignment on this down here, and to try to sand this or grind this or file this down or whatever I would do to get it perfect, I don't think I ever would. I mean, I just don't think it's going to happen. Then being a boat, like I said, things shift, and yeah, so I don't know. But as you can see in here, I did put another coat of epoxy in here again. So this is all epoxied now all the way back up in there. So any water we get dripping in here isn't going to sit in, in these cracks and whatnot. I got all those filled in. But yeah, this has been a bit of an adventure, and I kind of figured it would be back here, but yeah, such is life. And I think what I'm going to do is use my stainless steel bolts here. I'll put a bronze washer up against the housing there, and then put a stainless steel washer on top of that, so that the bolt is actually touching stainless, and then you got a stainless and bronze washer that are touching, which could present corrosion problems, but you can always just replace washers too. So yeah. And I don't know what kind of sealant to use here. If I should use 4200, 5200, if I should use my Loctite marine sealant there. I don't know. I think any of them would probably work all right, but it's just going to be a matter of getting this I think, tightened gradually to the point where we can keep turning the shaft. The shaft still rotates freely, and then just call it good. But anyway, that's where we stand as of today. Now here in the engine room, there's another job that I wanted to get done, and that was to get this back here coated in copper naphthenate. I debated, doing all this in epoxy too, but in the end I didn't. Just copper naphthenated it, which is what George had suggested. That's what George thought would be best. He thought by coating the inside you were going to promote decay, and so yeah, we're doing what George suggested here. And we didn't back there. Like I said, I put epoxy in there, but it's a little bit different back there too, where that could collect water. So anyway, I got this side done now. Both sides are done, and I vacuumed everything out, so it's all cleaned out back here. I'll get the floorboards back in, and another little job done. Greetings and welcome back to the boat shop on a rainy day. Not excessive amounts of rain, but just good amounts of rain here lately. So yeah, that's good. No flooding. Recently, yesterday, I did a little work up here. I got another section of that keel to hull joint done. And then I worked on this just a little bit. I think what I'm going to do is try to creep up on this. You can see I put some fillets in here around all these edges. Now it's not completely done. We need to taper this just a little more. And I tapered these edges here a little bit too on the plywood. Now these seams will all get taped again, but you can kind of see what's going to happen here. This joint gets planed down, the chine here, and then I'll kind of round it over just a little bit like I did here with the belt sander, and this will get taped over here, and then we'll do that all the way across here. But this needs to fill in just a little bit more, coming down this way. This is actually still just a little bit soft yet. Did that later last night. Tend to want to do this in the evenings as late as possible, working on this fiberglass especially. The 1708 has a chopped strand mat in there, and when you sand that stuff, it's really itchy. So I tend to like to, if I'm going to work on this, do it late in the evening. So then I go in when I'm done and get showered up right away and get the itchiness off me. But yeah, this down here, tapered out pretty nice. Probably not going to need a whole lot more work, but this edge here and this edge here will need just a little bit more filling. But like I said, we'll kind of creep up on that rather than trying to do it all at once. I was never really good at things like this, like automotive body work. I was never very good at it, so I'm probably not any better now. So I don't expect a real wonderful finish here, but I think if I take my time and, like I said, creep up on it, it'll probably be acceptable at least. And this will need more sanding too, of course. I just used the planer and planed it down real roughly and then hit it real quickly with the sander to kind of give me an idea of how I needed to follow this out along there. And then down here, I should maybe, I don't know, that's probably set up well enough I could peel that off, but yeah, peel it, get that peel ply off there later. And then we got just a little bit more to do here. Get up to here, and then I'm going to put some 10-ounce cloth over this whole thing here after I get it more or less faired out to where I want it. So that won't need anything here, but of course down there, the last couple feet we need to finish. And I've been thinking more about what to do with the stuffing box, because like I said, when I tighten those bolts down, it tends to pull it out of whack just a little bit, and we need to keep it in alignment somehow. Now I thought about putting a few shims in there, and then when we go to seal it up with whatever we're going to use to seal it to the keel there, I don't know, but yeah, make sure that we get the sealant around those shims. But I'm thinking maybe what I should do, and this is a technique that I've done in the past with other similar type situations. Put a real thin layer of, let me go up there and show you. Okay, here we are back up in the aft cabin. What I'm thinking about doing is, because like I said, we need to keep this thing in perfect alignment. There's only a couple thousandths probably, or several thousandths maybe of clearance here. So we need to keep everything perfectly in alignment so that this compression fitting here works properly. So what I'm thinking about doing is pulling the lag bolts out, of course, and then pulling the housing off, coating the housing with the PVA mold release, the inside surface and in the edges here, and then putting a real thin layer of epoxy. We'll sand this keel down, surface down a little bit, putting a real real thin layer of thickened epoxy on there, and then putting it back together again. We're not trying to glue it on there. We just want to get this surface here completely flush, completely square to the housing, and then pushing the housing back on there so it squishes out a little bit of epoxy, let it cure, and then pull this back off again, and then we can put sealant on there and run it back on. That would give us a perfect surface in alignment with everything here. You know, keep this thing perfectly aligned. Yeah, I don't know. You know, not the ideal option, but I don't think I'm going to be able to sand this and get it any more perfect. I think the only way to really get it perfect is going to be to do that, to put a thin layer of epoxy on there. Now the risk would be gluing the bolts in there to the point we can't get those off. I don't know, probably coat those in PVA also, and just hope for the best there. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what else to do. That seems to me like that's going to be the best option to get a perfectly flat surface there. So I think that's what we're going to do. We'll give that a shot, and yeah, we'll let you know probably next week how that goes. So next week, I anticipate, like I said, getting that mounted up in on the keel there. I also picked up some 6x6s, and we're gonna put those on the cradle here to extend our length out just a little bit so we can get supports farther out here. Then I also picked up some straps, so like I was talking about, I think in an earlier video, so I can put some tension on those to hold them into the boat. So I picked up some 2-inch cargo straps, and we'll get those probably put in this week. Hopefully get the stuffing box mounted this week, and then finish up over here. Get this done this week, and then I need to trim this stuff here all down, and then we can start working on the sides of the boat. And I don't know what kind of schedule Little John has, if he's going to come out and help with some of that or not. But yeah, if the weather holds out, it's not too hot, we can actually start getting some of that stuff done, or maybe even go up and start putting some more decking on. Of course, I need to get the deck beams trimmed before I can start putting more deck on up there. But yeah, that's something else that it could be done if the weather permits, although it's supposed to be getting a little warmer again, you know, 80s-ish, lower 80s anyway, in the extended forecast. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, but we're making pretty good progress. So yeah, that'll be it for this week.